Hello everyone. Okay, so for this recorded lecture, okay, we're going to talk about your beta thalassemia major as part of the as part of our discussion with our red blood cells disorders. Okay, so pag sinabi nating beta thalassemia major nurses, this is an autosomal recessive disorder that is characterized by what? It is characterized by reduction or absence of beta globulin chain in your hemoglobin synthesis. Remember when we started to discuss dun sa mismong RBC natin, 'di ba sabi natin yung mismong RBC natin, it contains 95% of it is hemoglobin. And if you're going to separate your heme from your globin, okay, yung mismong mga heme natin, they are embedded dun sa mismong apat na chains ng ating ng ating globulin sa ng ating globin or yung globulin na tinatawag natin. So ngayon, with the problem with your beta thalassemia, since sinabi natin siyang autosomal recessive disorder, ang ibig sabihin kasi ng autosomal recessive is that this pattern, okay, that this involves what? This involves, okay, both parents. Okay, both parents should be what? Both parents should be a carrier. Okay? Both parents must be a carrier. Ibig sabihin, both of the parents of a child who has beta thalassemia, dapat pareho silang merong beta thalassemia. And usually pagdating sa incidence po, okay, ng ating beta thalassemia, mas common siya kanino. Anong race siya mas common? Mas common po siya sa mga tinatawag natin ng mga Mediterranean. Okay, ano ba itong mga Mediterranean na to? So, yung mga Mediterranean descent natin, okay, sila po yung mga, tawag dito, sila po yung mga Italians, okay, mga Greeks, and even our Syrians. So, mas common po ang ating beta thalassemia major sa mga Mediterranean descent. Okay, and aside from that one, pagdating dito sa illustration natin, as you can see, if you're going to compare, okay, yung mismong structure ng RBC natin from this to your thalassemia, makikita natin that there is a malformed RBC. Okay, ibang-iba yung mismong structure, ibang-iba yung mismong form ng kanyang mga RBC. Okay? Bakit naging ganyan, sir? It's because, number one, sabi natin kanina, there is what? There is an insufficient B globulin chain synthesis. Okay, there is an insufficient B globulin chain synthesis. And if that happens, okay, pag yun ang nangyari, as you can see, compared dun sa mga normal structure ng ating RBC, mas madami po yung nagkaroon ng malformation ng RBC natin. Okay, so as you can see here in your thalassemia, iba po yung mismong shape ng ating mga RBC. It's because wala po silang sufficient na B globulin chain. Diba yung mismong globulin chain natin, it is subdivided into apat yan. We have your alpha 1, alpha 2, and then beta 1 and beta 2 dun sa mismong baba ng ating mga globulin chain natin. Okay, so pag yan ang nangyari, definitely mas mabilis masira yung mga RBC natin kasi in the first place, there is already a problem when it comes to the structure, when it comes to the formation of your RBC natin. Okay, so yan po yung nangyayari sa ating beta thalassemia. Sa ngayon, meron po tayong apat na types of your beta thalassemia. Okay, we have your thalassemia major, your thalassemia trait, okay, your thalassemia intermedia, and your thalassemia major. So as you can see here, pag sinabi natin thalassemia minor yan, same true with your thalassemia trait, they are considered as a milder form ng ating tinatawag na beta thalassemia compared dun sa ating dalawa, which is your thalassemia intermedia and your thalassemia major natin. So ngayon, sabi natin kanina, balikan natin kanina, ano ba usually yung nangyayari? Sabi natin kanina, okay, nagkaroon ng insufficient dun sa mismong B globulin chain synthesis natin. Wherein, pag yan ang nangyari, if there is already a large amount, okay, masyadong madami, okay, yung mismong amount ng ganitong klaseng RBC natin, of these unstable chains to accumulate. Okay, unstable chains, okay, and pag sila ay nag-accumulate, what will happen? Okay, it will precipitate yung mismong alpha chains natin. That will form yung mismong itsura ng RBC na ganito. Ano yung mismong itsura ng RBC natin? As you can see, they are rigid, di ba? Yung itsura niya, they are rigid. What else? And they can be easily destroyed. Okay, they are rigid and they can be easily destroyed. And pag yan ang nangyari, if there is a severe or there is a massive destruction of your RBC, what will happen? Okay, nagkakaroon tayo ng severe hemolytic anemia. Okay, pwede tayong magkaroon ng severe hemolytic anemia. And pag nagkaroon tayo ng severe hemolytic anemia, remember, ano ba ang kinikerry ng ating RBC? It doesn't only carry your nutrients, but it also carries your oxygen, then definitely pag na-deprive yung mismong katawan ng ng oxygen yung katawan natin, that will eventually lead to what? Chronic hypoxia. Okay, that will lead to chronic hypoxia. So balikan natin yung iba't ibang types ng ating thalassemia. Pag sinabi nating thalassemia minor, from the word itself minor, okay, tandaan nyo lang pag thalassemia minor yan, it is considered as asymptomatic po siya. Okay, it is considered as asymptomatic silent carrier. Okay, ibig sabihin, hindi natin na-determine kasi wala namang enough, okay, ng mga clinical manifestations that will prove na meron ka talagang thalassemia. Okay, usually yung mga nagkakaroon ng yung mga nadadiagnose usually ng thalassemia is accidentally talaga. Hindi nila alam na meron silang beta thalassemia. Okay? How about with your thalassemia trait? Pag sinabi naman natin thalassemia trait, usually ang kailangan nyo lang tandaan dito is that yung mismong natin, okay, it only produces mild microcytic anemia. Okay, ibig sabihin pag microcytic, if titignan natin dun sa mismong microscope natin, pag nag-blood smear tayo, makikita natin, medyo maliliit lang po yung mismong mga RBC natin. Okay, how about with your thalassemia intermedia? Okay, it is manifested with what? Ano ang difference ng ating thalassemia intermedia from your minor and your trait? Meron pong, it is evidence as what? It is evidence with splenomegaly. Okay, nagkaroon po ng enlargement dun sa mismo spleen natin. And aside from that one, nagkakaroon si patient ng what? Nagkakaroon si patient ng moderate to severe anemia. Sir, bakit po pwedeng magkaroon ng splenomegaly yung pasyente na merong thalassemia intermedia? Remember, saan ba napupunta yung mismong mga nasisira nating RBC? Okay, napupunta po sila lahat sa mismong ating spleen. Wherein, pag yun ang nangyari, there is a sequestration na tinatawag or na tawag dito, nagkakaroon ng, kumbaga natatrap po yung mismong mga RBC natin dun sa mismong loob ng spleen. And if that happens, malamang nagkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag na inflammatory process. That's why lumalaki yung mismong spleen natin. Okay? So, next naman tayo here with your thalassemia major. Ito yung pinakamalala. Okay, na type ng ating beta thalassemia. Wherein, okay, this results from what? Si patient na merong thalassemia major, pwede siyang magkaroon ng severe anemia. And because of that severe anemia, okay, because sabi natin kanina, pag nagkaroon ka ng severe anemia, pwede kang magkaroon ng hypoxia. Okay, your patient, okay, will require what? Magre-require sila ng transfusion from time to time or kailangan nilang mag-BP to support, okay, yung mismong life nung kanyang RBC, same po dun sa mismong life ng pasyente natin. And on the other hand, yung mismong thalassemia major natin kasi, yun po yung tinatawag natin na Colles anemia. Okay, that is the other term for your thalassemia major natin. Okay, so pagdating sa ating assessment, as you can see, dun sa mismong illustration natin dito, number 1, na makikita natin sa mga pasyente na merong thalassemia major, is that meron silang skeletal deformities. Okay, as you can see kay patient, ano bang mapapansin natin sa kanya? Okay, meron siyang what? Meron siyang frontal bossing. Okay, masyadong maumpog yung mismong noon ang pasyente na merong thalassemia. Okay, kumbaga pag nasa side view sana yung patient natin, paganyan siya. Okay, kumbaga parang naka-Barbie forehead siya. Okay, and aside from that one, as you can see, there is a maxillary prominence. Okay, masyadong prominent yung kanyang maxillary. Okay, what else? Meron siyang, ano pa makikita natin dito? Meron siyang wide set eyes. Okay? Masyadong malayo. Okay, nagkakalayo yung kanyang eyes with what? With flattened nose. Okay? Pango po yung mismong ilong ng pasyente na merong thalassemia. Okay? And aside from that one, of course, expected na meron silang severe anemia because there is already a hemolytic reaction dahil mabilis lang masira yung kanyang RBC because of its malformation and their structure dahil kulang sila ng globulin or beta globulin na big globulin chain synthesis. And then aside from that one, of course, kung merong severe anemia, pwede siyang mag-manifest ng pallor. Okay, sabi natin kanina, pwedeng magkaroon ng enlargement. It's either your liver or your spleen, kaya pwede siyang magkaroon ng hepatosplenomegaly. And then lastly, pwede siyang magkaroon ng failure to thrive. Bakit siya parang nahihirapan? It's because sabi natin kanina, since yung patient natin meron siyang hemolytic anemia or severe anemia, nagkakaroon siya ng chronic hypoxia, mas mahihirapan siyang huminga. Okay, so what are the laboratory findings ng mga patient na merong thalassemia? Number 1, expected, meron silang what? Meron silang decreased hemoglobin What else? Pwede sila magkaroon ng increased RBCY. That is just the way of our body to compensate. Dahil in the first place, kulang po tayo ng maayos, okay, or normal na structure ng ating RBC. And then as you can see, pwede siyang magkaroon ng microcytic and then hypochromic red blood cells. Okay, maliliit po ang kanyang RBC. And then what else? Pwedeng mag-elevate yung kanyang HGF or your hemoglobin F, hemoglobin A2, and then meron siyang limited amount of your hemoglobin A. Okay, so tandaan natin pagdating kay beta thalassemia, usually, ang kanyang onset talaga, it is sometimes, tawag dito, insidious siya. Ibig sabihin ng insidious, hindi siya agad-agad or parang palihim siya na gano'n na hindi mo alam na meron ka na palang thalassemia. And usually, pagdating sa kanyang mga sign and symptoms, as you can see, okay, in general, talagang as your disease progresses, okay, pag nag-progress yung mismong thalassemia natin, that's the time na makikita natin na pwede siya magkaroon ng tinatawag na progressive anemia. Okay? Kahit na, kahit tawag dito, kahit na, tawag dito, i-manage natin, okay, by giving iron and folic acid supplementation is still, okay, hindi pa rin natin nakokorek yung anemia ng pasyente natin. And what else? Sir, bakit siya nagkakaroon ng skeletal deformities? It's because, syempre, kapag the more na nagpro-provide or the more na na-stimulate natin yung bone marrow natin, pwedeng mag-expand yung mismong mga marrow cavities in our bone. Kaya pwede siya magkaroon ng, sabi natin kanina, frontal bossing, lumalaki. Okay, yung kanyang noo, lumalaki or talagang umuumpog yung kanyang noo. And of course, nagkakaroon siya ng maxillary prominence, halatang halata. Yung kanyang mismong dito na part sa may maxillary, dun sa mismong cheeks niya. And of course, as you can see, meron siyang wide set eye and flattened nose. Okay? So, kapag yun ang nangyari, okay, anong pwedeng, natin dito, management natin, we will discuss that later on. And aside from that one, okay, meron din tayong tinatawag kasi na hemosiderosis. Anong ibig sabihin ng hemosiderosis, sir? Your hemosiderosis, ibig sabihin nun, sinasabi natin kanina sa mismong lab findings ng pasyente, meron siyang increased RBC. Okay, of course, pag increase ang RBC mo, what will happen also with your iron? Malamang mag-i-increase din po yung mismong iron natin. So, pag sinabi natin yung hemosiderosis, yun po yung tinatawag natin na iron overload. And pag nagkaroon tayo ng iron overload dun sa mismong katawan natin or sa iba't ibang tissues natin, yun na po yung mismong reason kung bakit siya nagkakaroon ng hepatosplenomegaly. Okay? Nagkakaroon ng iron overload sa iba't ibang organs and tissues in their body. Okay, so yan po yung mga iba't ibang sign and symptoms natin in general pagdating kay beta thalassemia major. Okay, so next naman tayo ngayon with our management naman po tayo. Okay, so pagdating sa management natin, okay, pagdating sa ating management or yung mga mismong interventions natin, okay, malamang, since si patient nagkakaroon siya ng hemolytic anemia, okay, there is a massive destruction dun sa kanyang RBC, kailangan niya ng what? Kailangan niya ng BT or your blood transfusion. Okay, para ma-correct, okay, or para ma-supplement natin yung mismong mga nasisirang RBC that are required or that are essential for your cellular metabolism. Okay, so ang tandaan niyo lang naman pag BT yan, di ba, paulit-ulit natin sinasabi. Okay, number one, you have to monitor for what? You have to monitor for your BT reactions. Okay, dapat maging critical tayo pagdating sa pag-monitor pag si patient mag-undergo ng blood transfusion. Ano ba usually mga nagiging reaction ng pasyente natin abnormally pagdating kay BT natin? Of course, possible magkaroon siya ng hemolytic reaction. Okay, number one, pwede siya magkaroon ng hemolytic reaction. What else? Pwede siya magkaroon ng febrile or febrile reaction. Ano pa? Pwede siya magkaroon ng hypersensitivity or allergic reaction. And then aside from that one, we have your circulatory overload. And then lastly, pwede siya magkaroon ng sepsis. Okay, so ang tandaan na lang natin, pag si patient nagkaroon ng hemolytic reaction, ibig sabihin, there is an what? There is an incompatibility dun sa mismong binigay natin or sinalin natin na dugo, dun sa mismong, dun sa mismong dugo ng pasyente natin. Okay, ibig sabihin, merong incompatibility, kaya nasisira yung mismong dugo na tinatransfuse natin kay patient. Bakit siya pwedeng magkaroon ng febrile or febrile reaction? It's because, syempre pag nag-transfuse kasi tayo ng blood, syempre normally hindi naman yan galing mismo sa sarili mo. So pwede siya magkaroon ng sensitivity okay, yung mismong dugo natin, pwede siya maging sensitive dun sa mismong mga components or blood components na galing sa ibang tao. Same true with your allergic reaction. Pag naging severe yan, okay, naging sensitive masyado yung mismong ano natin, yung mismong blood, yung mismong katawan natin in general, dun sa mismong na-transfuse na gamot, ay na blood sa kanya. Okay, that's the time na pwedeng magkaroon ng tinatawag na antigen and antibody reaction. So, delikado po ba yun? Yes. Okay? What else? Of course, sabi natin kanina, pwede siya magkaroon ng circulatory overload kapag yung mismong blood transfusion natin, okay, na-ano natin siya, na administer natin siya in a faster manner. Okay, masyadong mabilis yung pag-transfuse natin. Di ba usually dapat at least 4 hours dapat yung mismong ano natin, yung mismong time frame natin when we do your blood transfusion. And of course, pwede siya magka-sepsis kapag yung mismong transfuse natin na tugo is contaminated. Okay? So, what else? Of course, kailangan natin mag-administer ng folic acid. Why? Kasi remember, your folic acid, that is one of the requirements aside sa ating iron, sa protein, sa mismong, tawag dito, sa mismong folic acid, vitamin B12 and vitamin B9. Okay, your folic acid, they are a requirement para makapag-produce tayo ng matured na RBC. Okay, what else? You have to monitor for iron overload. Okay, kapag si patient nagkaroon ng iron overload, okay, we have, meron tayong therapy na pwede natin gawin kay patient. Yun yung tinatawag natin na chelation therapy. Okay, yun yung tinatawag natin na chelation therapy. With what? Meron tayong ihalo dyan na, na medical intervention. Bibigyan natin si patient ng tinatawag natin na deferoxamine. Your deferoxamine, that is your antidote for your iron toxicity. Okay, deferoxamine. Okay, para ma-prevent natin yung mismong iron overload ng patient natin. And then aside from that one, okay, since nagkaroon ng sequestration, nagkaroon ng trapping ng mismong mga distracted RBC natin or destroyed RBC natin in your spleen, pwedeng lumaki si spleen because of your inflammatory process. So anong gagawin natin? As much as possible, pag bata, okay, ang pasyente na nagkaroon ng thalassemia, kailangang tanggalin yung kanyang spleen through the process of your splenectomy or your surgical removal of your spleen. And kapag bata po, ang nag-undergo ng tinatawag na splenectomy, okay, you have to monitor or you have to be very cautious, okay, to monitor for what? Possible signs of your infection. Kasi si patient na nag-undergo ng, splenectomy, lalo pag bata yan, mataas yung chance na to develop your sepsis. Okay, mas mataas yung risk niya to develop your sepsis. And then what else? You have to administer your what? You have to administer your pneumococcal and meningococcal vaccines. Kasi pag, for example, tawag dito, if you are going to remove yung mismong spleen natin, syempre, pwede talaga, sabi natin kanina, mataas yung chance na magkaroon ng infection. That's why it's very important usually, okay, na-discuss din natin sa other types ng anemia, that, for example, yung sa may aplastic anemia, di ba? Pag si patient mag-undergo yan ng bone marrow transplantation, same true with your pag tinanggal yung spleen, mas mataas kasi usually yung chance niya magkaroon or mag-develop ng infection. And to prevent that one, we have to administer your pneumococcal and your meningococcal vaccine to fight for that specific infection that causes this type of these types of infection. And then lastly, we have to what? We have to your mismong mga parents natin, okay, they have to undergo your genetic counseling, okay? Para sa ganun, mas maintindihan nila, okay? Magkaroon sila ng understanding dun sa mismong possible inheritance, okay, ng mismong beta thalassemia sa kanilang mga future children. And then, with that, okay, you have to discuss, okay, kailangan natin i-discuss sa kanila, okay, for, tawag dito, if gusto nila mag-undergo ng mga testing options, para sa ganun, ma-determine nila, or magkaroon sila ng agapang or prompt intervention. And aside from that one, mas magkakaroon sila ng maayos na planning for their family. Okay, so that's it for your discussion for your beta thalassemia.